Welcome students, I am your biology teacher and for class 9, and today we are going to study chapter number 8, which is called nutrition. And what is nutrition? Process by which organisms obtain and use the nutrients required for maintaining life is called nutrition. So in order to live, in order to do our activities, our living activities, we need food. We human beings take food regularly in order to do our work, right? In order to do our activities. Same as us, plants and animals, they are also living beings and they also need food to live, to carry on in life, right? So nutrition is basically obtaining and using the nutrients for maintaining life, and essential components that our body needs in order to grow and stay healthy are called nutrients. There are two types of nutrition. One is autotrophic and the other is heterotrophic. Autotrophic, the word auto means anything which doesn't need help of any other human being, of any other animal, and an organism who is capable of making its own food without any help is called, lies under the category of autotrophic nutrition. Like plants, they make their own food. We'll discuss it later. Let's discuss the definition. It is the mode of nutrition in which an organism makes its own food from the simple inorganic materials. What are the simple inorganic materials? These are carbon dioxide, water and minerals present in the surrounding with the help of energy. The processes are photosynthesis or either chemosynthesis. Now, what is photosynthesis? We'll discuss this later. The other nutrition is heterotrophic nutrition. It is actually the opposite of autotrophic nutrition. In autotrophic nutrition, an organism is capable of making its own food, right? But in heterotrophic nutrition, organism is unable to make its own food. It is the mode of nutrition in which an organism can't make its own organic material, but depends on other organisms. All the animals, all the plants, all the human beings, all the beings, all the living beings who lie in the category of heterotrophic nutrition, they need other organism. They depends on other organisms. They can't make its own organic material, its own food. They're not capable of making their own food. Discussing autotrophic nutrition in detail. The term autotroph is derived from two Greek words. Autos, that is self, anything that can be done by yourself, by itself is called auto, right? And troph means nutrition. In autotrophic nutrition, an organism makes its own food from simple raw materials. Simple raw materials can be anything, right? Now let's discuss photosynthesis, which is the major example of autotrophic nutrition. All the green plants are capable of doing photosynthesis. Just keep that in your mind. All the green plants, non-green plants are not able to make their own food. Why? Because of the presence of chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is the component that is present in green plants only, and that is why only green plants are capable of doing photosynthesis, and that is why only green plants lie in the category of autotrophic nutrition. Page number 140, in which we are going to discuss photosynthesis in detail, and we are going to consider this flow chart I have made for you all, because flow chart makes learning easy. Now, what is photosynthesis? First thing that you should keep in your mind is that photosynthesis can only be done by green plants, anything that has chlorophyll in it, right? And photosynthesis, the process by which plants make its own food, right? Because they are autotroph. Now let's begin. And consider this, see this flow chart here. I have written the definition of photosynthesis here, in a process by which plants makes its own food. And now only green plants, algae and some bacteria can make their food, can undergo the process of photosynthesis. And why green plants? Because of chlorophyll. Because in the leaves of green plant, chlorophyll is present, and which plays a vital role in the process of photosynthesis. Chlorophyll, right? Now what they make? They make their food. What is food of plant? Simple sugar. What is simple sugar? Simple sugar is glucose, right? Glucose C6H12O6. Of a simple sugar, or you can say glucose, there are four things that are needed, four components are needed in the making of glucose. Two are the raw materials, which is carbon dioxide and H2O, like water, right? So CO2 and H2O, CO2 plus H2O, these are the raw materials that plays vital role in the making of glucose. Then plants use the energy from sunlight and use chlorophyll in the making of glucose. All these four things, when they are combined together, glucose is formed, and as a result oxygen and H2O is released. So why oxygen is released? Is released in this process, and this is why we are being emphasis on growing more and more trees in our surrounding, and in planting more and more trees, because when the plants undergo the process of photosynthesis, they release oxygen, and you all know that oxygen is the main component which we human beings use for respiration. तो हम जो सांस ले रहे हैं वो हम ऑक्सीजन की वजह से ले रहे हैं, and oxygen is provided by, like, most of the oxygen is provided by the plants, because when they make food they release oxygen. So when oxygen is released, it is very helpful for us, and this is why plants are necessary for human beings. Page number 140, in which we are going to discuss heterotrophic nutrition. And what is heterotrophic nutrition? You all know it is the process in which the organism take help from other organism in order to obtain food. ठीक है जी, इसमें क्या लिखा हुआ है? Unlike autotrophs which manufacture their own food, heterotrophic organisms obtain food from other organisms. As heterotrophs depend on other organisms for their food, they are also called as consumers. All the consumers are heterotrophs, right? Now we are going to consider this flow chart again, and this is very helpful in learning. In heterotrophic nutrition, the examples can be all the animals and all the non-green plants. Like plants are capable of making green plants are capable of making their own food by the process of photosynthesis. We as humans, we do not give food to the plants, and also animals, they do not also give food to the plants, they make it themselves, right? So they are autotrophs because they are not taking help of any other organism, they are making their food by themselves. But heterotrophic nutrition, in heterotrophic nutrition, the organism takes help from other organism, right? And that, or you can say help, or they feed on other organisms, they take intake other organisms, they live on other organisms. It can be of any type, we'll discuss it later. So all the organisms that lie in the category of heterotrophic nutrition are called as consumers. All the consumers lie under the category of heterotrophic nutrition. All the consumers are unable to make their food. All the consumers depends on other organisms in order to live. So there are three types of consumers. One is herbivore, second is carnivore, and the third is omnivore. Herbivore. Herbivores are the organisms that feed on herbs, जड़ी बूटी जिसे हम कहते हैं, or other plants, right? They actually lives on plants. They intake plants as food. Examples: cow or goat. Carnivores are the animals that feed on other animals, on the flesh of other animals, right? You can see the example of lion and tiger. You have seen cat hunting rat. That is also a carnivore. You have seen other animals hunting the animals which are weaker than them, because they hunt only the weaker ones, so they hunt them and they eat them, right? So they are the carnivores. You have seen a lion or tiger hunting deer. They hunt the deer and they eat them, so they are carnivores. They are living on the flesh of other animals, they are feeding on the flesh of other animals. Last one, omnivores. Omnivores are the organisms that live on both plants and animals. They rely on both plants and animals. They use both plants and animals as their food. And who are omnivores? We are omnivores. We human beings are omnivores. We eat both plants and animals. We use both plants and animals as our food in order to live. In order to proceed in our life, we eat animals and plants. We human beings are the omnivores. So all the consumers are heterotrophic nutrition, lie under the category of heterotrophic nutrition, and we have discussed the types of all the consumers: herbivores, carnivores, and omnivores. Now come to the next topic, page number 141, in which we are going to discuss the types of heterotrophic nutrition. And in heterotrophic nutrition, again we are going to follow a flow chart which will really help you in learning. So there are three types of heterotrophic nutrition. One is parasitic, and the other is saprotrophic, and the third one is holozoic nutrition. Now what is parasitic nutrition? Parasites, the organisms which lie in the category of parasitic nutrition, are called as parasites. So what parasites do? They live on other organisms. They live on the body of other organisms, and the organisms on which they live are called as host. It is written in the bold letters, host. Lives on other organisms, called host. Those organisms on the body of which they live are called as host. Examples are tapeworms and leeches, and they actually don't give any benefit to their host. The parasites, they don't give benefit to their host. There are examples of parasitic nutrition, which is leech and tapeworm. Leech जो है, they suck the blood of their host, right? You all know that. So they are not giving any benefit to their host, they are actually harming them. So let's consider the next nutrition, saprotrophic nutrition. So saprotrophs क्या करते हैं? Saprotrophs lives on the dead and decaying organic material. They actually decompose the dead organic material, and they decompose by the help of enzymes. So what is decomposition? Process of decomposition, it is the process of breaking up of the complex material into the simpler materials, right? So they actually undergo the process of decomposition on the dead organic material by the help of enzymes. Obviously no chemical process can be done without the help of enzymes. So enzymes also again plays a vital role in the decaying of organic material, right? Examples are fungi and yeast. On holozoic nutrition, again we are talking about human beings. All the organisms that undergo the process of ingestion is basically taking in of the food through our mouth, and then ingest it from our body. So we human beings and amoeba, these two organisms in the world undergo the process of holozoic nutrition. Only these two types of organisms undergo the process of holozoic nutrition. We ingest and then we digest. So we'll discuss it later in the digestion process of human being, how we ingest and how we digest.